So what we're going to do is an emotional release technique. And the reason why we want to do this is we store emotions in our body. And my belief is, I help people with chronic pain, but I know so many chronic conditions, and I myself had rheumatoid arthritis, an autoimmune condition. And I I'm starting to believe that I think nearly all of these chronic type of conditions have an emotional root cause.
I would agree.
Yeah, I've seen it over and over again. And
Me
so,
too.
I'm really been interested in emotions. I mean, years ago, I was interested in Louise Hay and her
Right.
book, You Can Heal Your Life, and that connection between emotions and our thoughts and physical health. And so, anyway, I've done a ton of reading on all of this, and I've done lots of different emotional release techniques. I mean, there's EFT tapping, right? I'm
Right.
certified facilitator to teach the energy codes of Dr. Sue Morter, and the one that she uses is called bioenergetic synchronization technique, best release. And I've done Reiki, so I've done a lot of different modalities. But I read a book called The Emotion Code by Dr. Oh goodness, it's evading me right now. I gotta open it. Dr. Bradley. It doesn't even say it on this. Nelson, Dr. Brad, it doesn't, but I just remember, but Dr. Bradley Nelson. So he's written a couple of books one's called The Emotion Code, and one is called The Body Code, which is sort of like an advanced version of the Emotion Code. So the emotion code is basically, it works similar to some other systems that I've used. And I'm certainly not certified like as an emotion code practitioner, but I've played around with this a little bit. It teaches you how to do this in the book. And the idea is that he's identified, it's, let me see, one, two, three, four, five times, so 60 different emotions, and kind of as a root cause of different things. And what we do is use the access to the subconscious mind to identify the emotion that needs to be released. We command it to be released, and the subconscious mind knows the proper order in which emotions need to be released. We might think, I've got a lot of anger, I need to release anger, and that may not be the right emotion that needs to be released first. And so what we do is use muscle testing to identify the emotion. So are you familiar with muscle
Oh
testing?
yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So if I was in person, we would probably do
Right.
this kind of muscle testing. I could, do my own muscle testing, but I really am comfortable with a pendulum.
Yeah.
So I use a pendulum, and it's not that the pendulum is giving us answers. It's that I'm because everything is connected. We know
Right.
that everything is connected energetically, right? So I connect, my subconscious mind connects with your subconscious mind energetically, and we identify an emotion to be released. And we may need to dig a little bit deeper. So I will ask, do we need to know anything else about this emotion before it's released? Sometimes we'll hear yes, and sometimes it'll be a no. And if it's a yes, then I often go back and say, do we need to know the age at which this emotion got trapped? And I mean, I don't know why sometimes we do need to know more information and sometimes we don't, but I think it's helpful sometimes when the subconscious mind says, yes, we do want to go back, and maybe it'll trigger an event that happened for you, or something, and that will help you release it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we basically ask, keep asking questions. So it's a set of inquiries. Do we need to know anything else? And until we get a no. And then we ask, is this emotion ready to be released? And and then when we get the yes, we do a little emotional release using kind of the meridians in the body, and then we can go on and release more. And most people, according to Dr. Bradley Nelson, I think he says the average person has over 100 emotions to be released. So
That's a lot.
It's probably not something we can get done. And actually, when I've done this on myself or people, I often will say, is there another, is there another emotion to be released today? Because sometimes we don't want to release too much, right? We may find, because the mind has to process that in the body. And so anyway, we're basically letting the subconscious mind be our guide, because the subconscious mind has whether he calls it the subconscious mind. Some people might think it's your super mind. Some people might call it your soul, your higher self, whatever. I mean, it really doesn't matter. But we're getting guidance from your highest self for your highest good. All
Yes.
right, so I just wanted to give you a little explanation first about it.
Cool.
So you ready to get started?
Let's go.
Okay, so I would just start by saying that, of course, we want this to be for your highest good, Darren, and just call for all of the highest and best guidance to come through for you today. And also, I'm just going to ask if I can step in. Is it okay with you if I step in?
Absolutely.
Okay, and now, so I'm gonna turn my laptop a little bit, and I know you're not gonna be able to see, but basically
Yeah.
I've got my elbow resting on the table and I still the pendulum. And for me, I will just ask here, for me, I know that a yes is usually a counterclockwise circle. Yep, okay, I'm getting the same as usual, and a no is back and forth. Okay. So I just want to make sure that it's okay with your subconscious mind that I that we speak through my subconscious mind and this pendulum for you on Darren's behalf. Do we have permission for this? Okay, that's a yes. And so the first thing we'll ask is, and there's nothing for you to do, Darren. Just
Oh,
just sit back and relax, and answer the questions if I've got questions for you.
okay.
So the first thing we'll just ask, is there an emotion? I want to get it really still. Is there an emotion to be released today? I'm sorry you can't see my pendulum. Maybe if I just let me do this. Still can't
That's okay.
you can't quite see it. There we go. Is there an emotion to be released today? Yes. Okay. I'll just slide my chair over a little bit. So I'm just going to show you. I've got the app. There's an app here. Oh, sorry, you can't
Yeah,
quite see it with the
that's okay.
with the blurring, but there's an app here, and it's got all of the emotions. Can't quite get it right, but it's got all the emotions on there. So basically, I'm going to ask, is it in column A or column B, and then ask which row it's in. And then we'll identify that little narrow it down to 5. Then we'll ask which of those it is. So is this emotion that's ready to be released right now in column? Is it in column A? Okay, that's a no. Is it in column B? Which it should be, yes, and it is. Okay. Is it in an odd row? There's 6 rows altogether. So is it in an odd row? Yes. Okay. Is it in row 1? Not row 1. Is it row 3? Okay, it is row 3. So the emotions we have here, I'm just going to go through them one by one. Is it crying? No. Is it discouragement?
Okay, so discouragement is coming up as a yes. Do we need to know any more information about this trapped emotion of discouragement? Yes. Okay, do we need to know the age at which this trapped emotion of encouragement happened? Yes. Okay. So to narrow it down, I kind of go like midway and then we go up or down.
Yeah.
So, did this trapped emotion of discouragement happen before the age of 25? Before the age of 25. Okay, so did this trapped emotion of discouragement happen? Get trapped before the age of 15? No. Okay, so did this emotion of discouragement get trapped before the age of 20? So between 15 and 20. So did this emotion of discouragement get trapped before the at age 17? Right now, 15, 20, yeah, 17. 17. That's 17. 18. 18. And sometimes the years can be, like off a little bit. It might
Yeah.
be. So, is there anything, not that you have to talk about it, but is there anything springing up for you around that age that would be emotion of discouragement around age 18?
It was the year I started college, my first year in college. I mean, discouragement. I mean, I went to be an engineer and that didn't last very long. I don't remember being terribly discouraged about it. I remember thinking this really wasn't my path. Um, so yeah, off the top of my head, I don't remember anything specifically at that age, other than that was my first year away from home. Really the
Hmm.
first time being on my own, being independent.
Right. So, maybe we could ask a question. I mean, it doesn't always have to make sense to us. You know what I mean? We don't always know because we repress emotions,
Right.
right? We could have just stuffed it down right away, and as far as we're concerned, consciously, there's nothing to it. But in the subconscious mind, there may have been
Right.
something. So let's just ask: did this emotion of discouragement, oops, get trapped um, in relation to college? Okay, so it's saying yes. Um, and let's just ask, do we need to know anything else about this? Because maybe that's all we need to know.
No.
So do we need to know anything else about this trapped emotion? Okay, it's no. So the next thing then is this emotion of discouragement ready to be released? Yes. All right, it's ready to be released. So here's how, in the book, he talks about using magnets and putting a magnet in your hand, but he also says you can just use your hand. And I feel pretty good about using just the hand. That's how I do it because I believe it's our intention behind it.
Right.
And also, we have energy in our hands. And also I've heard some people talk about, well, you got to be careful with magnets because they got to be the right blah blah blah. So I'm like, I think we can't go wrong doing things, ourselves, right? So I'd like for you to do this as well. So I'm going to do it like along with you. So what we're going to do, I'll just demonstrate first. We have these main meridians that go from like the tip of our nose all the way down to the tip of the tailbone. So we're not actually going to be able to do all of that ourselves,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter. We just go along that line where we can with the intention of releasing this trapped emotion. We do that 3 times. So it'll be like this: 1, 2, 3, and then we'll test again. Okay, so you want to do it together? We're ready to start? Yep. So the palm of your hand, releasing this trapped emotion of discouragement from anywhere it needs to be released from, and forgiving anything around it now and forever. And that's it. So now we just do a little test and ask, has this trapped emotion, discouragement, been released? Yep. I usually find too when we do the release, it's always like it's a really strong yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So next thing, I gotta get my chart out again. I'll just ask, is there another emotion to be released? I mean, there may not be. It might just be the one. So is there another emotion that we can release with Darin today? Yep. All right. So here we go. So we'll do the same thing again. I'll ask which column,
Yeah.
which row, and we'll narrow it down. Okay, so is this trapped emotion we're going to release now from Darin, is it in column A? So that means it's column B. Column B. All right, so now we're going to ask, now we're going to ask, is it in an odd row? Okay, is it in row 1? No. Is it in row 3? Okay, so let's go through these ones. I got a feeling that last time it was column B, and when I looked on the chart, I went to column A. So it's taken us right back to where I should have gone the first time, which is interesting. Nothing wrong. There's no accidents, I don't think. Okay, so column B, row 3, is this confusion? Is this trapped emotion confusion? No. Is it defensiveness? Defensiveness. Do we need to know more? Do we need to know more about this trapped emotion of defensiveness? Okay. Do we need to know the age at which this trapped emotion of defensiveness? Yes. Okay, so same thing again. We're going, did this emotion of defensiveness get trapped before the age of 25? Yes. Okay. Did this emotion of defensiveness get trapped before the age of 15? before the age of 15? Did this emotion of defensiveness get trapped before the age of 7? Or the age of 7? Did this emotion of defensiveness get trapped before the age of 4? It's a little wonky there. Did this emotion of defensiveness get trapped at age 4? No. Did this emotion of defensiveness get trapped at age 5? Okay, age 5 seems pretty strong. And does that bring up anything for you?
Age 5, I was kindergarten. I lived out here in California. Of course, being that young, I don't know that I remember that much about that age.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, starting school's kind of a big deal, isn't it? When you're little.
I know my parents would always say I was a very stubborn child. Um, Whatever they said, I usually wanted to do the opposite,
Defensiveness, maybe.
maybe.
I'm just wondering, is stubborn an emotion? I don't see stubbornness as an emotion, so maybe. Oh no, it is actually in the same column as this one, or same block as this one. Um, but yeah, defensiveness. I mean, it could be something around that. Did anything happen at school that you remember with friends or teachers or anything like that?
No, I've had a very good teacher. I remember having friends. I don't remember anything bad happening during that time. But again,
It,
it's
with
a
any of
long.
these things, it might not mean that something bad happened. It's just, it might be something because it's always just something happening and our reaction to it, right? And it may not be any one thing. And you know what? We don't even really need to get in our heads about it that much. It's just, and the other thing is something might come to you later on.
Yeah,
But again, we're not really getting into our heads too about it. We just want to let it go.
yeah, yeah. I don't recall anything specific.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so let's just ask, do we need to know anything else? Do we need to know anything else about this emotion of defensiveness? Nope. That's all we needed to know. So is this emotion of defensiveness ready to be released? It is. Okay, so we'll do the same thing, Darren. I don't think I talked last time about left or right hand.
No.
No, I use my left hand. I don't know why, just I feel, and it probably doesn't matter, but I just use my left hand. It's just more, it feels more intuitive. Our left side tends to be the more intuitive side, whereas the right side tends to be our more, analytical side. So we'll do this again 3 times. So starting the nose area over the top of the head, we're releasing this trapped emotion of defensiveness from Darren now and forever, forgiving anyone, anything involved. It's no longer trapped. And we'll see, has this emotion of defensiveness been released? Yeah. Do you feel any lighter?
A little lighter, actually. Yeah, very interesting.
Excellent. Okay. Let's see. You want to see if there's another one?
Sure. Try one
Okay.
more. Pendulum's like, man, we can do this all day.
Yeah. Well, what I found, or a lot of times, I think from the book, he said like in one session, it can be anywhere from 5 to 10 emotions can be released,
Yeah.
or less. I mean, yeah, that's
Yeah.
just like an average. So let's just ask, is there another emotion? Oops. Is there another emotion for Darren to release today? Yes. All right, here we go. Is it in column A? So it is column B. Is it column B? Yes. Okay. Is it an odd row? No. So is it row 2? Column B, row 2. So let's go through these. Is it failure? No. Is this trapped emotion helplessness? Trapped emotion helplessness? Helplessness. Okay, do we need to know more about this trapped emotion of helplessness? Okay. Do we need to know the age at which this emotion of helplessness is trapped? Okay, so we're back to the ages again. So, did this emotion of helplessness get trapped before the age of 25? Did this emotion of helplessness get trapped before the age of 15? Did this emotion of helplessness get trapped before the age of 7? No, so between 7 and 15. So 7 and 15. So did this trapped emotion?
I already know the answer.
You know it?
13.
13. Okay.
Check
Well,
13.
this is good because actually you're using your intuition as well, right? Which
Yeah.
is really helpful. So something at age 13 is coming up for you where you felt helpless. And do we need to know anything more about it? Because you've obviously gotten that. So do we need to know anything else about this emotion? No. Is this emotion of helplessness ready to be released? Yes. All right, ready to let that one go.
Same drill.
We'll do the same thing again. All right, so we're going to go 3 times. Release this trapped emotion of helplessness. Got trapped at age 13 from Darren. Forgiving everyone involved. Highest good. It's released from Darren now and forever. You know, you can always do more.
Yeah.
They say agree, but it doesn't hurt. Sometimes while I'm talking, I may do more. Sometimes, some of these trapped emotions can go back really far, like even generations. I had a trapped emotion that went back 7 generations.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy and seemed crazy anyway. And so for those ones, they suggest like using even more, or there's also what they call a heart wall trapped emotions, like around your heart. You just kind of build up so much protection, right? And those ones might require a little bit too. But so anyway, just you can't go wrong. That's what I'm trying to say. You can't go wrong if you do more of those. So how do you feel now with that one?
Yeah, I mean, a little lighter. It's kind of interesting. It's funny as you started going through it. I mean, again, maybe that's just the way it works. It's like the minute you start talking, it's like this thing came up immediately in my head. I'm like, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like I can remember a time, I can remember a very specific moment, and yeah,
It is interesting, and that is what I've seen in doing this with people is right away they know it. They know a lot of times they know the situation, right? And I think that's part of what makes it really healing is if it's still coming up for you, it's still there.
yeah.
And so we know it needs to be released. So actually, let's just check that trapped emotion of helplessness, has that trapped emotion been released? Your subconscious mind is saying yes. All right. You feel like you might want to do another one, Darren, or we can just ask and see if there's another one?
Yeah, we can ask.
Okay. I'm ready to keep going. All right. So, is there another emotion to be released from Darren today? Yep. Okay. Is this trapped emotion in column A? Column A. Is this trapped emotion in an odd row? Nope. Is it row 2? Okay, row 2. So we'll go through the emotions, starting alphabetically. Is this trapped emotion anxiety, anxiety? So do we need to know more about this trapped emotion of anxiety? Yes. Is this trapped emotion anxiety? Do we need to know the age at which this was trapped? Most often I do find that it's an age thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's different, but it is pretty common. So was this emotion of anxiety, did this get trapped before the age of 25? Okay, did this emotion of anxiety get trapped before the age of 15? So between age 15 and 25. So this trapped emotion, this get trapped before the age of 20. So between 20 and 25. Anything coming up for you?
I got married in that time period.
Just to do trapped emotion. Were you having anxiety around that?
Well, I mean, well, at the time I was 23 when I got married. So probably, I mean, just, being young and worrying about providing for future wife and future family. I didn't make a lot of money at the time, so
Okay, should we ask if it was around that then, the marriage?
yeah.
Okay, so was this emotion of anxiety? Did it get, was it around did this emotion of anxiety get trapped in relation to Darren's marriage? Yes. Hmm. And is this emotion, or do we need to know anything else about this trapped emotion of anxiety? Nope. Is this trapped emotion of anxiety ready to be released? Yes. There we go. Time to let that one go, Darin. All right, so we'll do this again. So we are releasing the trapped emotion of anxiety in Darin now and forever, forgiving everyone and everything involved, all for Darin's highest good. Released. Has this trapped emotion of anxiety been released? Uh-huh. Excellent. You feel lighter?
Feel a little lighter. Yeah, this is really interesting.
You're gonna be floating soon. All right. Shall we ask if there's another one?
uh, yeah, I've got to stop in about 15 minutes, but I think we got time
Okay.
for one more.
Is there another? We gotta ask if there's one to be released. Is there another emotion to be released from Daring? Yeah. Actually, we're done.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Universe knows.
Yeah. Yeah. Or your mind knows. So, um, don't need to like ponder over this
Yeah,
anymore. You know what I mean? Because we can build up stories in our
yeah,
mind, and then that just kind of keeps it there. So it's just like, whew, it's
yeah,
done, gone. And I think that's really important that you don't need to like make a note of it or what were those emotions again? Doesn't matter.
yeah,
It's done, and just accept that you're feeling a little bit lighter now as a result. And you could kind of do this on your own, even if you don't have this training or you don't have the book. You can kind of notice when you're not feeling. It's kind of hard with the subconscious ones, but here's how what's going on in our subconscious mind shows up in the triggers in our daily life.
yeah,
So anytime you're feeling triggered by anything, you can try to identify the emotion, or you can just identify it as, not comfortable or something's going on, and just command, release it,
yeah,
and do the thing. And so you don't need to get into a story about it. But the fact that you get triggered means, I always think of triggers as being like a yellow brick road to freedom, because it just identifies where you're not free, right?
right.
And so then you just need to do a little bit of release. And so there's different ways to do release, but this is just one really easy way. Just the subconscious mind just takes commands. We know that from hypnosis and other work. So it's just taking commands. So you just command it,
Yeah,
and then tie in whatever. I don't understand the full, with the meridians, how it works, but there is something to it. Traditional Chinese medicine has been around for thousands of years for a reason. So yeah, whatever it is, and our intention
right.
matters. So
Oh, well, that is very cool.
I'd be
But
interested to hear how you're doing over the next few days, and make sure you drink lots of water.
yeah,
You'll be tired, so you might need to rest because there's processing going on
right.
internally after all of this. So just honor that. If you're feeling extra sleepy, get to bed earlier, have a little rest, do those things.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'll touch base with you in maybe a week or so and just give you an update and let you know how I'm feeling.
Okay, awesome. And we can do it again sometime if you want.
I would appreciate that. I really appreciate it, Jane. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome, Darren.
Thanks.
See you.